Welcome to another episode of the Automation Awakenings podcast. I'm super happy to welcome a fantastic guest with me in the virtual studio today. We have Christoph Zeltner from Siemens joining us for all things fleet management, VDA5050, and also humanoids. Christoph, great to have you on the show.
Hello, Matthias. Thank you for having me.
Christoph, could you briefly introduce yourself to our listeners? So what do you do all day long?
Hello, my name is Christoph. I'm working, as Matthias said, for Siemens, and I'm working on the SIMOVE Fleet Manager, which is the Siemens software for fleet management for AMRs and AGVs in an industrial context. We are heavily improving on the fleet management side. Next to that, I'm also working on the VDA5050 itself. So I'm part of the core team for VDA5050 and also part of the core team for ISO 21423, so the new communication standards. Mainly concerning myself with fleet management and everything that's around this topic.
Excellent. We are super happy to have you on the show because, as you know, our community is also all about logistics automation. So VDA5050 is a big topic, and it's always great to have the experts on the show to discuss things that are connected with this whole cosmos. But that's the perfect bridge for me to start with my first question, Christoph. So what is the one sentence that every logistics leader should know about SIMOVE? What's unique about it?
SIMOVE we are part of the SIMOVE system. So SIMOVE in general is the offering of Siemens regarding AGVs and fleet management. I'm mainly working on the fleet manager side, so on orchestration side. And the SIMOVE system in general is the one-stop system to empower our customers for their application in this space. So for all concerns, be it AGV side with a navigation system and a control system, and the fleet management side, which of course is the SIMOVE Fleet Manager, and that's my context. So we can cover all the bases for our customers and help them to improve in their logistics applications.
Okay. So you're saying it's not only a fleet management orchestration software. Your customers can also buy, say, on-robot or in-robot software from SIMOVE, like navigation.
Yes, exactly. Navigation, for example, also communication with a VDA5050 Docker. Of course, Siemens as a big provider of also hardware. We can also offer PLCs and everything our customers would need on the AGV side to create their own AGVs and empower them to bring that to their end customers.
So it's very interesting because obviously Siemens is betting big time on AGVs, AMRs, and fleet management software. Can you reveal a bit of the strategy behind it, Christoph? So why did Siemens decide to go into this market?
With our own applications, our own factories, we can see that logistics is changing rapidly at the moment with the introduction of AGVs and AMRs to the shop floors. So when you're thinking of in the past, we would create conveyor applications and have everything being built one time and planned out one time. And this is not the reality anymore. So in the past, applications needed to last for 20 years or let's say 10 years. And now we see rapid changes in factories and shop floors every 2 or 3 years. Lines are changing. We see it in our own factories where we have adaptations to the factory floor every 2 or 3 weeks in very small parts and isolated parts. But this is now improving. And therefore, AGVs and AMRs are the answer to this rapidly changing environment. And Siemens, of course, as a big provider on logistics here as well, wants to be in this space and sees that there is a lot of potential also for the future, not only in the very big shop floors, because those changes usually happen in very big applications and then trickle down to smaller applications, but also now with the requirements we are getting also very small customers with only 1 or 2 AGVs in their application and then scaling up from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for the peek or the look behind the scenes. It's very interesting. But let's move on and talk a bit more about VDA5050, Christoph, because that's a topic that is, of course, driving many of our listeners. It's a big pool of also misunderstandings. So maybe let's kick it off with the following question. So what is the biggest myth that you keep hearing about VDA5050? Maybe that's a good starter.
I think the biggest myth that probably everybody knows is VDA5050 is plug and play. So there are a few hurdles in the way to getting it to plug and play status, but I think this is the biggest myth about VDA5050 right now.
If you say it's not plug and play totally, can you get a bit more specific? So where do you see challenges, or where do you face challenges when rolling the SIMOVE Fleet Manager out?
Very simple ones would be in the VDA5050, we do have actions, so defining when a robot is performing a task, basically, at a certain application, and there is a basic action defined like pick, so pick something up. This is very different in a different context. So it's different if you have a forklift AGV picking something up, or if it's an undercarriage just rolling underneath something and picking it up. And regarding that, also their requirements on the actions change. What parameters do we need? What can I send immediately? Is it actually called pick? So it's not required to be called pick. And all of those things need to be clarified beforehand. So before we go into commissioning phase, and then, the commissioning phase is just going to be easier and faster for everybody. And I believe that's also why you see us and a lot of other fleet manager providers now having a list of AGVs they already work with, and they know like the in and outs. There is a lot of optional parameters you can use or need to use in VDA. And all of these factors then trickle down into this list of supported AGVs, so to speak. Not to saying that others are not supported, but those are already confirmed in any applications in field. So it's just a faster start to a commissioning phase, basically.
So if I understand you right, the biggest obstacle from your point of view is this initial onboarding of a specific AGV or AMR provider into the fleet manager. And if I also understood it correct, there are some, let's say, some differences in the way the communication or those topics are defined on both sides, somewhat of different dialects that the providers speak.
Yes.
And this is then causing the challenge for you guys to align with each other on the same kind of information that you want to forward and communicate to each other.
Yes, I see the fleet management side in a quite unique position here. From an AGV side, I think it's a bit simpler because you have all these parameters and everything the VDA can do and that you're supporting and that you're supposed to do. And you can say, okay, this is my set on parameters I support. These are my actions, what I'm supporting, and so on. And on the fleet management side, it's okay, I need to communicate with this AGV in this manner. So those parameters are important here. And I need to calculate a few things extra here. And then we see now a lot of mixed fleets. So multiple manufacturers, everybody speaks their own dialects, as you call them. And therefore, it's a bit tricky to keep track of who is doing what. With the fact sheet, we already have a lot of information regarding that, and that's already giving us a head start in a lot of cases. But then there is like the details and the last 5 to 10%, and those are the things we are working on right now.
Christoph, if you could rewrite one paragraph in the VDA5050, which one would you change?
I think at the moment the actions and requiring actions, requiring actions. So there is a few suggestions in there on what actions to be defined on the AGV side and what they should be looking like. I would like to have a few of those being required and not being up for debate, basically. For example, start pause, stop pause, or charging.
Okay. How about the map topic, Christoph? So my customers also use AGVs, AMRs, they use fleet management. And what we keep seeing is that if you connect different mobile robot fleets and you have your map in the fleet manager, and then you change something in this map, you also have to do that in each and every provider's map. So from our point of view, this is also a pain. How do you guys perceive that? Is that an issue with your customers as well?
Yes, so that's very much one of the big issues we're facing right now. That's in every project, basically. We do have different approaches for this. The first one being with the layout interchangeable format to be supported in the fleet manager, to be able to import it from the fleet to the fleet manager and update our map. And the second one now being with 2.1 sharing of maps through the fleet manager. It's not at the point I would like it to, but now also with VDA5050 3.0 on the horizon. So we are currently working on 3.0. There's also a new version of LIF on the horizon. And I think there's quite a few improvements on how to import maps there and how to work with them. Also then with more support for free navigation in the 3.0 for VDA especially, we're going to alleviate a few problems. But of course, I would also wish to be able to download the LIF format into the fleet, and that being supported by the LIF. We are not there yet. I hope we get there, but that's up for debate at the moment, I believe.
So let's take a look at the scaling topic. You already mentioned it. Many customers are starting to use more than just one mobile robot fleet. There is new fleets being added. We have the fleet manager that is orchestrating them. But now the big question is, from your experience, what is the biggest mistakes your customers can do when trying to run multi-vendor fleets? So what's the one big thing you would always tell your customers to watch out for when they think about scaling their mobile robot applications?
It's first off, having multiple fleet managers at the same time and not being connected to one another, I believe is a very big problem in most cases. The only way to avoid that is then by physically separating them in different factory floors, for example, or different areas in the shop floor. That's one, because there is currently no standard communication between different fleet management systems. As far as I'm aware, there's a few things with the new ISO, but that's not the end-all and be-all from my perspective. And then also communications to equipments and robots and everything that's surrounding both of those systems, because maybe they are currently occupied by another AGV that's there and trying to unload something, unload something, and is, so to speak, connected to one fleet manager and actively exchanging, and then another one would be also interfering, and then having the communications not only between the fleet managers, but also with a third-party software to be aware that there's now two fleet managers connected to myself, and I need to communicate differently, probably with both of them, can be a big issue. And therefore, of course, we try to have only one fleet manager. As a fleet manager creator, I'm, of course, pushing that as well. But it's getting easier if you have only one control system instead of having three control systems.
Right. Okay, so you're basically centralizing everything. You have it all in one place, and you can orchestrate those different fleets, especially in the sense of traffic management.
Yes, exactly.
That's our biggest pain point at many customers, and I totally agree here to you. Christoph, let's jump on. Let's leave the pure VDA5050 topic for a moment. Let's talk about humanoids. So we heard that you guys at Siemens already test humanoids for industrial application. Are those rumors right?
Yes, so we already are working with humanoids at Siemens. There is a few research departments that are actively pushing this topic very hard, because it is going to become a topic in the future, I believe. Also a big one. I think we can all see the writing on the wall for that one. And yeah, we are currently working with that. And the fleet manager has also orchestrated humanoids before, so in combination with AGVs and AMRs already.
So you're saying that you guys already connected a humanoid to SIMOVE to orchestrate the humanoid together with mobile robots on the same shop floor, right?
Yes, only in research facilities right now, so not in a productive environment. Basically creating our own proof of concepts there on how to work with them. There is quite a few topics on the humanoid side that are currently being worked on. just the use cases basically and defining use cases where humanoids can replace AGVs and AMRs on the shop floor or even humans. And those are currently, I think, the big discussion points. Not so much can we get there from a fleet management point of view and orchestration point of view, but more on the what skills can we actually do now.
Okay, understood. So from your experience, the orchestration of humanoids and mobile robots via VDA5050 does work. So that's definitely possible. But of course, the bigger question is which use cases will be interesting for humanoids and their application at Siemens or other industrial companies in the future, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe for the one we were using, we also implemented our own communication with it. So I'm not aware of a humanoid currently speaking VDA5050 out of the box. I think there have been a few tests with our systems on how can we basically teach them to speak VDA5050 and orchestrate them like a VDA AGV. Our fleet manager is also capable of adding probably every other AGV as long as we have the APIs for that. And the same goes for humanoids and orchestration. And as far as
so you connected via API, yes, Christoph, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But
just
as
via
you said,
API.
the humanoids and the use cases for humanoids are probably the big concern at the moment. Not concern as much in worrying, but what are we looking at? What are the actual things and applications that we can do with humanoids in the shop floor?
Can you maybe reveal a bit of that? So do you have first ideas where a humanoid could replace a human in the future?
Yes. So I think the one that stands out to me the most is probably a milk run. So as a part of, for example, a target train, moving around with the target train, having a platform on there, then unloading the target train carts into stations wherever they stop and loading the target train, basically enhancing the target train experience and moving into spaces we could not get in with the target train, or to replace tedious work of reloading stations for my human worker who needs to stop whatever he's doing right now, moves to the target train, unload it, and then continue to work, and removing that load. And a second one would be sorry, Matthias. Go ahead.
No worries. Go ahead, Christoph. I had a question for the first use case.
We have a lot of use cases where we currently have a lot of small tasks being spread around the factory that are not really benefiting the production in any way. So they are necessary, basically, but you don't want to have one human run 20 tasks in the factory and being responsible for all 20 tasks and run around and
what could that be? Like those small tasks?
One sample would be we have in one of our applications for electrical components, the soldering and everything. You are printing that onto electrical environment here, and there is like a printer basically, and you need to clean the plates used for that, and they need to be loaded into a dishwasher basically. So it's a bit more industrial, of course, and that needs to be done like once a day, and it takes 5 to 10 minutes, and somebody needs to move there, and it's out of the production line and so on. That would be one example. There is a lot of loading the carts that are going around the factory to refill small parts in the electrical field, for example, so SMD lines and so on, and reloading those, with also only taking around, like, they need to move through the factory twice a day, basically, and you don't want to have somebody working there full time. And all those small tasks and combining them into one humanoid that can then move throughout the factory and check one task after another would be the one that we see the most at the moment.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It goes with the general notion that humanoids as a technology per se in industrial companies will probably only then have a big impact if they're able to do multitasks in a factory. So not just this one thing, because for this one thing there is probably already a technology that is better and scaled, but really to be like a multi-purpose tool and just move around and do different kind of activities.
Yeah. I was speaking
Very
to
interesting.
our factories, of course, as Siemens, and also external customers and partners that we are having about their use
Yeah.
cases. And pretty much everything we are bringing up as a use case where we could place a humanoid is also this comes with the notion of I could place a six-axis robot here and it could do the task as well. I can
Exactly.
create a specialized application here for probably also the same price as a humanoid, right? And I can do it already. And as you said, the combining of smaller tasks or diverse tasks, I think might be the better wording here, is what humanoids would be, standing out.
Very interesting. Let's quickly jump back to your first use case, the milk run use case. Would the humanoid stand on the milk run and then jump off the milk run to unload at certain stations? Or would you have a humanoid standing at each station and then unloading the milk run and sorting the deliveries?
I think the
What is the
first
concept?
one was the concept here. So at least what we discussed, we don't have a humanoid capable of that yet, to be quite honest. But the first one would be to have like an extra card on the target drain, especially for humanoids to stand on, or have like a separate application just on the target drain and fixed there to be able to move it to hold on basically while it's driving, and then jumping off and filling up everything. So really replacing the labor there and only needing one humanoid, of course, again, instead of like 20, 30, 50, whatever it is. The factory floors that we are running are quite big at times, so with multiple hundred stations. So it should be...
That would be expensive.
That would be a bit excessive for this application.
And actually, this is also going into my next question. So, from your experience at Siemens, what is still the showstopper for humanoids before being deployed all over the place? Is it the business case that is still missing? Is it the battery duration or long lifetime that is a problem? Or do we have even other problems that are keeping humanoids from being scaled?
Is from being scaled at the moment. I think the use cases and the skills and abilities the humanoids have are not quite matching yet. So as we said, with diverse, you would need a lot of skills already applicable on the humanoids. I think there is manufacturers pushing very hard to be able to do things like that. Also, Siemens is creating use case or specialized software to assist with this. For example, Pick AI, where we would be picking or categorizing and picking on the humanoid. You can have a look at that for the Siemens portfolio, of course, but also others. And then I think, especially in Europe, the other concerns is safety. We have not seen a big humanoid robot that's really safety compliant, as far as I'm aware. So with emergency stops and so on, they are a bit dicey in terms of falling over or just having a bad experience in that way. So I believe they are currently only running in applications where they are fenced off in some kind of way, or remote controlled, and then you have emergency stops there. But the safety aspect is not 100% clear from my perspective at the moment.
Very interesting. All right. So from your point of view, Christoph, how far are we away from real humanoid use cases on the shop floor? Are we talking 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What is your take or the view of Siemens maybe also on that topic?
I'm not sure I can speak for every department of Siemens, because our researchers have more insights on a few of those. I believe we are close for stationary usage. So basically replacing a station with a humanoid that's performing a task there. And Pick AI would be one of those examples, just picking and dropping on a stationary basis. And highly specialized humanoids are pretty close. I believe next 2 years we can see very specialized humanoids being deployed. But the generalized...
What do you mean with specialized humanoids, Christoph?
Sorry, they are purpose-built for one task only, performing that, having specialized software for this one task. And then the more general that we spoke before, with separated tasks and aggregating smaller tasks throughout the shop floor, I believe we are a few years out. Still, there's a lot of things that needs to go in there, like safety, like moving around, like all those smaller tasks and capabilities required to perform them. But around the turn of the century, I believe we can see them coming in as well. But there's a few things to figure out and to solve before that, I believe.
Yeah. Christoph, we are almost out of time, coming slowly to an end. But I have one last question that I would really like to ask you. So, if you had €1 million to invest into automation technology, which one would you pick?
I as a fleet manager, manufacturer, fleet management and AGVs, I really think this topic is not at the end yet. There is a lot of things we can do where things can be improved, making it easier for our customers to work with the fleet. Cobots is a big topic, or was a big topic over the last few years. And I think it's very interesting what we can already do with those, not running too much into the humanoid space, but having specialized robotic arms on top of AGVs and AMRs in this case. There's a lot of potential, for example, in welding or something like that.
Very interesting. Christoph, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for taking time. It was super interesting to talk to you, and I'm very happy to see and to hear that Siemens is really pushing the future of logistics forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in today. Hear you back in 2 weeks with another episode of Automation Awakenings. Until then, take care and goodbye.